Okay, cool. And we're live. Welcome to it. Brett Magill.
Hey, man. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming through.
No problem.
So, craft beer entrepreneur and social media expert.
That's right.
Yeah, man. A lot to get through today. So, yeah, man. Thanks again for coming through.
Always.
So, dude, we were chatting earlier and stuff. The whole beer craft scene and all that stuff. We didn't really get into too much detail. So, I mean, how's the industry looking at the moment? I mean, I remember there was like an explosion like maybe 7 years ago, pretty much, when there was like, I can remember clearly, there wasn't even like 10 years ago when there was like Castle, Black Label, Hansa, and like the 6 or 5 main beers. And now there's such huge variety. I mean, how long has that pretty much been going on for in that?
Well, you know, man, like I've been on the craft beer scene, not as long as a lot of the guys. There's a lot of people that are much more clued up on the details of craft beer and the technicalities and how it all comes together and how to make it beautiful stuff. But I've been around enough to and written enough content to know enough about the craft beer scene in South Africa to know how it's going. I started a business when I left. I used to work for a agency in the north, and the first idea was to go and start my own social media agency, and but I didn't want that. I wanted to try something different, so I started a craft beer company, an e-commerce craft beer company. So think of Amazon for craft beer. We'd sell craft beer online. We wouldn't make anything, we'd just sell it. So obviously, we started learning a lot more about craft beer because at the time I didn't have any fucking clue of what we were talking about. So, well, we did, but we didn't, So start learning a little bit more, start writing a lot more awesome content, and from there we started growing this business that sold craft beer, and we had a few good sales. And the problem was e-commerce.
So you weren't like crafting any of the beer yourself? It was just sourcing it yourself?
Just sourcing it.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
local, obviously.
Local guys, yeah. Okay. We actually we wanted to do local exclusives, so we didn't want to get imports, Belgian imports or anything like that, local only. As you go more in a business, you realize, okay, well, we can expand our variety, but it doesn't matter. So the cool thing is that we learned a shitload about craft beer and about the brewers in South Africa. Some of them are still, to this day, great friends of ours. They invite us over to their festivals and things like that. See, the thing with craft beer is that it's always been around.
Okay.
It's only just become more... I guess the buzz is just heightened up a little bit more in the last 3 or 4 years, so it's been awesome. Although the thing is, there's also a lot of controversy around craft beer, purely from a quality point of view. Just because it's craft doesn't mean it's high quality. Doesn't necessarily mean it's high quality. I know a lot of brewers strive for the best quality possible, but a commercial brand like SAB has hugely strict quality controls to make that essential. So it's not always the quality is the problem. Then price is also a problem. I mean, you're looking at some retailers sell their craft beer to up to 45 Rand, maybe 60 Rand, and that's absurd.
For a draft? Or?
No, for a bottle of beer.
For a bottle of beer.
Yeah, for a bottle of beer.
And like, I don't even drink, so how much does like a normal beer cost?
What is it now?
Like an SAB?
16 Rand? 18 Rand?
Wow.
I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while. So, but, normally I buy craft. But, so I mean, like, you're looking at a huge price problem. So when you are buying craft beer, it kind of is a barrier in itself because a lot of the general public can't just drink it. And then on top of when they do drink it, SAB tends to be a lot lighter with all their beers. Craft tends to be extremely strong, especially the hoppier beers like your ales, and sometimes your vices can be extremely zesty, and it gets an interesting conversation going. Recently, though, like a lot of the craft breweries that I've worked with in the past have been slowly bought out by bigger companies like Heineken or SAB. I know Devil's Peak. Devil's Peak, I think, it could be the only guys that I think they're looking at investment now, if I remember a social media post. But they're the only guys that I think have held out as long as they have, and being as big as they are. They're actually, I believe that they have got a chance of giving SAB a run for their money.
Wow.
In terms of being a brewery, like in South Africa, because SAB obviously has the monopoly right now. So it's very exciting for Devil's Peak. Here locally in Joburg, there's who recently... the name escapes me. But a lot of the little guys are slowly getting bought out, the higher quality guys, and rightly so. I mean, I don't blame SAB or Heineken for buying them out because it's a market which SAB specifically has tried to penetrate many times. I mean, 3 Francis Street is one of them. Carver's Vice, another craft beer SAB is trying to penetrate through the market. And they're good beers, but at the end of the day, if you drink enough craft beer, you're going to realize it doesn't taste like craft. It still tastes like SAB. And then again, that is personally my opinion. Like a lot of people will debate it, and that's fine. Everyone has their own taste. I think they came the closest they ever came to doing a real craft beer was Carver's Weiss.
Okay.
It's delicious. I think you still can get it. I'm not 100% sure if they took it off yet, but I think it's the closest thing. But then when you go,
I've seen that before.
which you don't drink, eh?
No, but I mean, was it like a small kind of like batch of it, or was it pretty mainstream?
So you know what? I think they were giving it a try.
Yeah.
Makes sense. See the market. I believe it was a success in terms of quality and what they were trying to go for. But if they're not going to push it hard, it's not going to get much back. So I get it's a risky play for them, and especially when their normal brands are doing so well. But when it comes to craft, like this year, we're seeing a lot of these smaller breweries getting bought out. A lot of guys scaling the hell up, like former Smack Republic, now Batch, is like a conglomerate of craft breweries which are starting up in Hartbeespoort Dam. They're really kicking ass. It's great to see. Some of my closest friends run the brewery.
Nice.
Again, you're looking at a brewery which is decided instead to sell out, and I don't mean sell out as in you're a seller. I mean get sold out to a bigger company. They're actually looking at making a go for it, and it's great to see. And you're always gonna have craft beer, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's always gonna be Opa Tom, which is going to make his beer in the back garden, and there's gonna also be my grandfather has always made beer since I was a kid, right?
Okay, yeah.
And you're always going to have your backyard brewers. You're going to have guys who want to take it one step further, which is always going to be there. Just, I don't know what happened. Society decided that craft beer was going to be this thing that we're going to not drink. I don't know if it speaks to the way, millennial and Generation Z kids in inverted commas, young adults want to define themselves compared to their parents. Because, my dad drank Castle, I drink fucking Gilroy's ale, whatever. Gilroy's red. 50 rand a fucking bottle, because fuck you. I mean, it's really awesome. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of the time these retailers also take the piss. I mean, you don't need to particularly charge 45 rand a beer. I know, because we got our price down to, I think, 22 rand a beer. And we were making that much profit off it. And it wasn't great, and it wasn't easy. And still to this day, as a store, as like an e-commerce store, we're actually pivoting. This is actually the first time I'm actually going to say it publicly, but as a store, we're pivoting. We got to go into more of a media space now, because our brand is still good. People still invite us. People still know us as a craft beer brand, but we don't. It's difficult because e-commerce in South Africa is such a difficult thing, and there's so many reasons for that. A friend of mine that runs NerdNab, for example, him and I have very similar challenges to face. Logistics is a huge problem in South Africa. There's a lot of logistics company startups that are making headway, but it's still a huge problem. Banking is a problem. If you need to do a refund, we had a sale, a 7,000 rand sale one day. It was awesome, and then we realized we didn't have the product anymore. Wow. So we had to call the customer very humbly, and we were like, "We're so sorry, but we'll give you a refund." And he was like, "Great," and he's like, "Okay, when's my money?" And I was like, 7 days. He's like, "Why?" I was like, "I don't know. The banks won't let me. What you can't do." So there's a lot of other industries which are behind, which e-commerce needs to grow. They're not there yet. They're slowly getting there. I know Aramex, for one, great example of a company which has evolved in 1 year to cater for e-commerce. Yeah. I think it's brilliant, because a year ago, it's 2 years now, actually. 2 years ago, when I did work with them, it was a pain in the ass because I didn't really understand what the hell to do. Yeah. But now when you start to slowly understand e-commerce and you start to apply those principles to your bigger companies, suddenly you make it easier for a market. I've just launched a little business now with my mom selling handcrafted soap. Okay, through Instagram exclusively. Nice. And now with Facebook starting to adapt, I don't know, a lot of people might not know what I'm about to say, but platforms like WooCommerce integrating itself into Facebook. Now you can suddenly just buy off Facebook. And I mean, you could sort of normally do that through Facebook and through social, but it was still at its infancy a few years ago. Now it's really becoming a hard push.
Is that like using PayPal or?
Yeah, so I think Shopify was the first, if I remember correctly, and I stand to be corrected on this, Shopify was the first real way to use social media as a buying platform for e-commerce. You're now getting more and more platforms. WooCommerce, and specifically, which is the biggest e-commerce tool out there right now, is now integrating itself into Facebook, as I saw this morning. I don't know if it was prior to what I saw on my notification this morning, but I got a notification this morning saying I could. So, awesome. I'm saying it was over today. Okay, it might have been a few weeks ago, but so it's extremely exciting to be in the e-commerce space. The problem is scalability. Joburg Brew, for one, I'm not even going to lie to you, the business would have been so much more successful if I had 5 people working with me. Because you need somebody to worry about sales. You need somebody to worry about fulfillment. You need technical problems. I spent 90% of my time working on the website, where I wanted to spend 90% of the time actually just promoting and writing content. And it's frustrating. It sucks because I know in theory and on paper the business makes sense. So we're pivoting Joburg Brew now into a media company around craft beer. Essentially, we want to be the authority in craft beer in South Africa, which is cool.
Yeah.
But then in 5 years' time, when we have a massive community, something like Take a Lot seeing, and we have the money to basically, all right, guys, we've got 5 million rand to plug into an e-commerce shop again. The industry is matured again. The tools are now available better than ever. Now we can do it again. And yeah, we run the risk of extreme competition at that stage. But I believe that if you had that strong brand for 5 years or 6 years running, when you eventually do launch, you've already got the community.
Yeah.
You already got someone to talk to. And again, that you can't predict what's going to happen in 6 years. But that's the basic idea of that property.
Okay, nice. I mean, just on that point, it's a lot to unpack there. But I mean,
Oh no, sorry.
no, that's great. Please, I love that. The concept of like when you're saying some of them were kind of conglomerizing or kind of getting together and making like a groupage of these breweries. I mean, that's what I was thought a few years ago with the brewers. I thought that's definitely the way it's going to go, is that they're all just going to eventually gang up and make another SAB. But I'm really surprised that it really hasn't like done that. I mean, who's the biggest guys on the market in that at the moment as far as like craft beer, would you say? Like,
Craft beer. Well, look, Cape Town had, I think, a 3-year head start.
Okay.
I don't know why it was Cape Town first. It seems like
hipsters.
I was going to say they had the hipsters
Definitely
before
hipsters,
us.
yeah.
Someone called me a hipster the other day. I was so insulted. Shit.
It's the beard.
I swear it's the beard. I mean, just because I have beard oil. Anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty hipster.
You see.
I'm sorry.
I am wearing tackies instead of slops, so I'm still going more Silicon Valley. Anyway, all right. So, dude, it makes sense. And the biggest one right now, the biggest ones are based in Cape Town. So Devil's Peak is Cape Town.
Yeah.
CBC is Cape Town. Those are just two that come to mind. In Joburg, though, Batch is primed to be the biggest. They're not yet, I don't feel.
Okay.
Batch, yeah, they're very, very, very new. Very,
Okay.
very, very new. Hopefully I can help them pretty soon with their social media. But like Batch is pretty new, but they're primed in vision and in energy to be one of the biggest by the end of the year, I hope.
Okay.
Mad Giant, super new guys on the scene.
They there on Shelby Street.
Yeah.
I think,
Came out of nowhere,
awesome looking
but
brewery,
are
yeah.
freaking dominating.
Okay.
And also their beers are amazing.
Really,
it's
yeah,
delicious, dude.
They got some serious equipment when I was walking
They
by.
really
I was
do.
like, wow.
But you see, now that's vision. All right. So apparently they had an international investor. And now again, I don't quote me on this. I don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
This is just the word in the street.
Yeah.
They apparently had a big international investor. And they got all this gear. And if you go into the Mad Giant Brewery, you can see that these guys are gearing up for a huge play over the next few years as they scale and as they grow. And it's awesome. So Mad Giant right now is definitely a major player in Joburg. Gilroy is always going to be there forever.
Okay.
Gil actually himself, he actually spoke to me when we did an interview a few... Wow, it's going to be quite a while now. We did an interview with the guy. He's an amazing human being. If you ever go out to that end of the world, definitely go and stop.
Where are they based?
North of Mulder's Drift, north of Fourways. It's far.
Okay, yeah.
It's a bit of a drive.
Henop's kind of past there.
I can't remember to be specific,
Okay.
but it's out there. It's quite a way,
Okay.
but worth the ride. Like if you're going to spend the day there, amazing food, amazing beer. But Gil gave us a bit of a history lesson, and apparently when Joburg was first starting out, like we're talking before around like when he was young. So we're talking when our parents were like 10 and 13 and whatever shit like that.
Yeah.
There were 4 breweries in Joburg, SAB being one of them, Gilroy's being another. Apparently there were 2 others. He's the last one left of the traditional style of making beer. None of their beers, originally their beer wasn't pasteurized, or it still isn't pasteurized. Gil will slap me through the face. For not getting this fact right. My friend Richard will also slap me. I can't remember. Okay, but Gil's is definitely always going to be a player. He's
Okay.
always going to be in the top 5 of biggest breweries in Gauteng.
Yeah.
How could I forget? Copper Lake.
Copper Lake.
Copper
okay.
Lake, yeah, is definitely
rings a bell.
Copper Lake is quite huge. They got a brewery and they got a restaurant, a brew pub out in Fourways. Great beer, very creative bunch. The last guys also up and comers. They Two Oaks Brewery.
Okay.
Again, the Henny and his partners have been building that up for the last 3 years
It's
now.
Oaks Brewery.
Two Oaks Brewery.
Oh, Two Oaks Brewery.
Yes,
Okay.
Oaks spelt Okes.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Oaks, okay,
yeah. So they're awesome,
That's
but
awesome.
they're an up and comer, but they're scaling slower than Mad Giant, for example. And I think that's because Henny is building it up on his own. It's not a case of he has an outside investor. Obviously, you can make amazing shit happen with €1 billion or whatever,
True,
whatever
yeah.
it may be. So Henny's slowly building it up, but I also like the guys scaling so hard. It's already a household name. When I first discovered them, they were new, and 2 years later, they're quite a popular brand. Henny is always trying new things, always award winning. So watch him. Like he's their brand has a little bit of work to do, but they're coming. They really are coming. So right now, definitely Mad Giant. Batch is on their way. Two Oaks is on their way. Copper Lake is here. And then Gilroy's always be a mainstay.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Jeez, I mean, that's a huge amount of people. That's, really
that's just the little guys. Like, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Ace's Lager has been in Mubberding for I don't know how long. You got... there was another brand also based in Mubberding. I think there's two based in Mubberding. They're everywhere.
Right.
But, you know, it depends on where you want to measure craft beer
Yeah.
and commercial beer. Because eventually the line stops. Eventually you're not craft beer anymore, so please stop calling yourself such. You know?
What are like the fundamentals of craft beer?
Okay, so if I was to define craft beer for you right now, before I left this house, I would have 1,000 messages from the Warthogs Brew Club and every other brewer and brew fan that I know telling me I'm wrong.
Okay. Why? Because everyone's got their own idea.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we attempted that as Joburg Brew. We attempted that 2 years ago to define what the hell is craft beer. And I've had the same argument with everyone. Everyone has their own idea where craft beer begins and commercial stops, where handcraft beer stops and craft begins, and where microbreweries start, and it's all such a blurred line at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're not there is apparently America has defined, because it's America, they have defined a volume of craft beer to produce. So when you pass that volume, you stop becoming craft and you become commercial.
Sure. Okay. Yeah,
Fine.
That would make kind of sense.
That makes sense.
A little bit, but not really. But if you're still making it in a traditional way,
That's-
I mean, it really shouldn't matter.
That's my argument.
Yeah.
You see, so if my friend Chris Taliakis of Taliho Brew,
Okay.
he's a new startup in Bedfordview. You should probably just go and check him out. He makes great beer. But his claim to fame is that it's handmade beer. So everything is bottled by hand, labeled by hand, etc., which I love. But then if, say, Chris employed 1,000 people and he was still making beer the same way he's been making for 50 years, but he had huge volumes, does he stop being craft beer just because of volume?
No, yeah.
You see, I mean, again, now you can't really define it in terms of its perspective.
True,
okay,
yeah.
if you're going to call it craft beer, then let it be craft beer.
No,
Let the customer decide whether or not it is.
I think it comes down to quality, I guess. I mean, and
Quality as well, yeah.
And even on that point, I mean, I remember watching a thing on CNN where they were talking about how the FDA, they've got these requirements for any water that's used in human consumption.
Yeah.
Basically, like, you can't have more than like one solid part per million in your water. So basically, and I'd heard about this for years in Germany as well and in South Africa, where like beers, correct me if I'm wrong, beer's like an extremely water exhaustive kind of process. It uses huge amounts of water.
Uses a lot of water.
Yeah, and I mean, that water has to be purified and go through like a huge amount of I think at SAB, they're probably using reverse osmosis or something to kind of clean the water.
You got to. And you know what? I did go on that SAB tour, and they probably did tell me, but knowing me, I probably just forgot.
Okay, but I mean, your average craft kind of place, they're not really using reverse osmosis, are they? No. And
I wouldn't think so. I mean, in the perfect world, they should, obviously.
Yeah, well, I'm not a scientist, but whatever kind of high-level, expensive form of, because apparently that's like the biggest kind of cost in a lot of production in the beer is sort of the water purification.
It's going to be, you know, I mean, also everyone gets a lot of their ingredients from SAB themselves.
Oh, wow, okay.
I know it's weird, no one would expect, but SAB is also the biggest supplier of beer ingredients.
So like barley, hops, all that kind of things. Okay,
especially
wow,
hops.
I had no idea.
I know, me neither.
That is fascinating.
I know, right? You think everyone's just on their own tangent, but no. Apparently, a lot of the guys get their stuff from SAB, and it's fun. SAB love that. I mean, the brewers at SAB are a very passionate bunch. They're no less passionate than your craft brewer, your home brewer. Yeah. I think just SAB gets a bad rap because they're a corporate and because people see them as that big bully in the sky. It's just not true, you know. I mean, they do have. I mean, of course, they're a big company and they got to make money, but at the same time, the spirit of what they are is as much as like any craft brewer. It feels good to be able to say that because when you meet the guys and you meet from executive to brewer, okay, they're all super passionate about what they do. They believe in what they do. I'm sure you're gonna get one or two tosses running around there. I'm sure, like any company, but. Yeah. For the most part, from what I've experienced with SAB, they're as passionate as any other brewer. It's good to see.
And I mean, they've been in a weird position where they've been a monopoly, like an enforced monopoly for how long? I mean, like 100 years probably.
Yeah, very much. And they've just been bought out. They haven't they just been bought out by AbbVie?
Yeah, that's I had heard.
Yeah, AbbVie. Yeah.
There was something to do with the competition commission, but I think it's gone through and everything.
Look, you know, the thing is,
a few months ago.
Yeah, at the end of the day, competition breeds innovation.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see competing breweries in South Africa. You know, as an entrepreneur, I have Third Planet Digital, I've got Joburg Brew, and I've got Mold. These are my companies, or they're all one company, but these are my companies and my brands and things like that. I do social media, I do advertising, I do craft beer, I do content, I do blogs. It's all there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, one thing that you learn very quickly is that the only way you're going to ever invent something new or be different to somebody else is if you've got someone to compare yourself to, whether you like it or not. No, you should. Yes, okay, fine. Don't ever compare yourself to somebody else. But at the same time, as a you got to be competitive. Competition creates innovation and naturally makes you think differently. And how can we be better? How can we compete? Yes, there is the saying that competition reduces collaboration. Maybe. Maybe. If there's only two of you in the market, I guess. Otherwise, you call it colluding. you know. So I mean, like, it's however you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that Devil's Peak and Batch are going to make a go at it and be competing against SAB. Why not take on freaking Goliath? True. You know, hit above your weight class. I love
Heineken, they've done a fair job, I think, over the years. Like, I think in this country, they've and I mean, if you think about even SAB's competition worldwide, if you're trying to compare them to like Budweiser, I know, like, when I used to drink, that stuff was fucking bad. And I know it's just a general stereotype and people like to drink, but that stuff was really bad. And Miller's as well. Miller's, like, offended me as a person who I'm sorry, like,
hashtag sorry Miller's.
No, yeah, but seriously, that stuff was painfully bad. That kind of makes me glad that I stopped drinking, as I will never have to drink a Miller's again. Yeah,
really.
Yeah. And,
just guys, make a note that you guys will never be sponsored by Miller's.
No, good. Definitely. I would never take their money either. I would never take their money.
Scratch that off.
But yeah, I mean, having said that, I mean, SAB's really hasn't. I mean, in Germany and Europe, they take their beer a lot more serious, and you'll have like your local provincial beers or town beers or whatever.
I cannot wait to do that, though. Yeah. I cannot wait to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the UK at some point. Okay, and I'm gonna tour my arse off for
Germany's
breweries.
far better.
Germany as well. Oh well, both, because the cultural dynamic is different, right? You're gonna get different kinds of beer from each location.
True,
I cannot
like,
wait.
When I was living in England, like, then I used to drink. I mean, you got your stouts and your lagers and your ales and all these different varieties, like those ones that they have to like pump it out and it's all like thick and weird and no like fizz at all. And I mean, your Guinness, I used to love Guinness when I was living in Ireland and that. So your variety of beer is always strange when you came back and you're like, why do we just have lager here? It's
frustrating, right? Yeah. But that's also maybe that was it, right? Maybe that's why South Africa suddenly popped in terms of its beer, a craft beer rebirth, because we suddenly had an alternative to lager. It tasted different, it was different. Oh, and it got me pissed as well. Yeah. You know, so like I can see why Cape Town jumped on that first, because it's a tourist destination. It's that melting pot of culture and people. So it makes sense for it to start there. But at the same time, scalability is here.
So out of all the platforms that you currently use, I mean, what would you say your favorite is at the moment, and what do you think's like get you the best results as far as getting like kind of feedback from your audience?
Dude, the best results right now is totally Instagram. Okay. I'm going hard, all in, deep on Instagram. Stories, video platforms, multiple shares, all that DMs. Dude, the thing is that when you just go all in on something, commit your energy to it, it becomes much better, right? YouTube is definitely popular this year for South Africans. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of guys are really making great content. They're not. A lot of guys also aren't, but at the same time, the pool is so small. It is so ridiculously small in South Africa. So if you're capable of actually hacking YouTube for yourself, pick one. Pick YouTube or Instagram. Heck, if you have time, do both. Okay, right? Nice. But like totally this year is totally YouTube and Instagram. Having said that, though, if you have enough energy to hack Facebook video, Facebook live stream, you're gonna dominate. Okay, only because of the reach you get.
Okay, definitely. Everyone's built in on the platform already. Okay,
everyone's already there. Okay, 100%. Same with Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, but like if it was me, like me personally, right now, I'm going all in on Instagram.
Okay,
We're talking stories, we're talking videos, we're talking decent, high quality pictures. Not this whole blurred fucking blur. Look what I'm doing. We got to hold ourselves to a higher standard than that. So for me, Instagram hardcore. Although I'm saying right now, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube are great places to play in right now. Specifically looking at video. Okay. Video in particular.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And how long are the videos on there?
Which ones?
On Instagram, how long can they be?
Instagram stories are 15 seconds. Instagram videos are 60 seconds. Facebook videos are how much ever, and YouTube is also how much ever.
Okay,
but
nice.
For me, Instagram is where I'm playing hard. Okay, Facebook is not gonna let you up though, because now you've got freaking Instagram stories, Facebook Messenger stories, and each of them with their own advantages. It's extremely. I did a project for a week, testing out each one. Each one is good and each one is bad in their own way. But like if I had to pick one in terms of quality, totally going with Instagram. But don't get me wrong. Yeah. Freaking Facebook stories, dude. There's nothing better than that right now because it's at the top of your Facebook feed. Whether you scroll or not, it's there as soon as you look. So as manager now, I do an Instagram story and then I transfer it onto my Facebook story. Makes total sense because it's the first thing everyone is going to see.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Regardless.
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it's not going to be there forever. So maybe in a month's time it won't be like that anymore. But
Nice. Well, Brett, thank you so much for coming through, dude. It's been really awesome.
Absolute pleasure.
So many things we still got to get into on the next one. So I'll definitely have you back soon, dude.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the flip side.